survey, even though it took a few encouragement, but we did. Our biggest gap that we saw really is the club to the outbound interested groups. Is where we felt that trying to get that community, trying to get groups that are students that are interested, parents that are interested and willing, as well as the host families. So that conversation we felt was one of the parts that we're really struggling with and is a gap. And then when you tore that down a little bit farther, you said, well, what was the largest group, in it? It really was the families. Yes, we have some work to do with our Rotarians, but really trying to find those families to have the conversations that we're having and get the passion across to them that we all have related to the youth exchange program. And then we also felt that the how to talk, how to market, in person came up as well as social media. And when we looked at the type of the gap of how you do the marketing, there really was only a small variation between them. And the way I interpreted that is really all of us kind of process information differently at different times. So a 30-second video might give you one bit of information, but yet you need to supplement it maybe with something more in-depth or something you can look at on a website or have access to, and something maybe that can be printed later or handed out to someone. So it's really a mix of the method of what you're giving them. When we did look at the inbound side, probably no surprise, finding host families was the #1 issue that was our gap in the marketing. How do you find those families that are willing to open their heart and home to a student? And then you looked at it, you said really it's trying to find those high school parents and those communities in your community that are willing to open their homes. In-person materials, social media and websites related to finding the host families, and then very specifically looking at what kind of video content is out there as well as the handouts. So trying to do, in my mind, a testimonial where you can have a parent go, yeah, I get it, this could be scary. You're sending your kid away for a year. But let me tell you, it's worth it and this is why. Or yes, you may be fearful about this or fearful of that, but really getting in there and addressing those concerns that parents may have, financially, safety, whatever, just having their student away, and being able to really have that face of someone who's been through it to explain it to another parent early on in the process, not after you've done all the information meetings, but earlier on in it, as well as with the host family side and trying to go in and say, yes, it's okay, this is why it was wonderful to have a student in our home for 3 or 4 months. And what we got out of it. And yes, it might have been hard that they didn't know the language as well as we wanted, but this was how we had fun with it. So trying to have those snippets of things to really get the parents and get the communities interested in it. When you went to the outbound side, finding the qualified candidates on the long-term program, again, we're referring to, is really trying to find those students. And what we felt at a certain point, what the survey showed is really trying to talk to the students that are all interested in their sports or making sure that that's what they're doing. Those aren't the students to go to really try to talk to. It's trying to find the ones that see this as an opportunity for themselves, but may still have hesitations of what is this going to do to my graduation. Parents may be very concerned about that, as well as the safety of their child, as well as the willingness to let go. I'm sorry, I was talking a little bit on that, mixing my wires here. The audience there would be, again, the high school students, the parents, and the guidance counselors is what we felt, really working with those teams of trying to go, how do you find these students that this might be a really good opportunity for them. And again, the overall marketing, we're trying to find some videos that would capture that interest, explain the program, and different handouts that guidance counselors can have available. I know in my high school we do a lot of recruitment, but But when I sat down and walked through the guidance counselor area, the guidance counselors don't know about the program. The student teachers do, the administrators do, but not the guidance counselors. And there was nothing in the offices that talked about Rotary Youth Exchange that was visual there for when you're in the office that you could pick it up. So I'm kind of very surprised that even in my own club we weren't doing something, and there's an opportunity here. And then our last part that we really saw was that the clubs just do not have a recruitment plan, was the gap that we had. What we didn't address in the survey was really picking at that one and peeling that layer farther down to go, why don't they have a recruitment plan? And I know as a district, this is where we kind of go, this is some of our responsibility to try to work with our clubs and guide them. So it can be that we have roadmaps and they're not getting out. It could be turnover, it could be clubs just don't see the passion, or the passion has waned because they've been there, done that. So there were a lot of questions that I came up when I looked at it of how to solve this one, and unfortunately the survey didn't really get into that far enough. So at the end of the day, what I felt in looking at this was really that the proposal is for us to really take this and go, these are the kinds of things that we would like to do, articulate that a little bit more, and going, okay, can we then use, we had looked at, we had funds, and there was someone that was gonna help us, can we now begin getting some action moving forward on that? It won't solve everything, and with not knowing where Rotary International is, we can decide to just completely halt and not do anything, or move forward. And I think the Dropbox also would help us, or whatever format, to see what each other is already doing, because some districts have been more successful than others in keeping the momentum of the program going. So, as I said, it was kind of a lengthy report, but showing you kind of honing down where it is. So we're not doing QR codes or things like that. The difference. Yeah. Any questions on that?
Any questions for Rebecca?